What is your worst collaboration experience? I think for a lot of us, when we think about collaboration that's gone bad, we maybe think about like group projects in school or times where things have just never gotten off the ground with a cool idea that we had. Um, but I don't know, in my life, I've had a lot of negative collaboration experiences to the point where I think I'm probably overly fearful, but justifiably fearful of creative collaboration and working on big projects with others. And that's what I want to talk about today is some of those experiences, why that drives me to just a place in my creativity that isn't very collaborative, and even why I think personality plays a big role into that. But I won't spoil the end, but I think community is very important. Let me tell you the story of the worst creative collaboration I had. So I met someone and they were really into filmmaking and they had some experience on some low budget, sort of Hollywood based, LA based projects. And he had worked in, now this had been quite some time since he had done those projects, but he came in with a lot of ideas of how he would like to start a production studio in our town. And I was like, that's pretty cool. There's no one like that. And so I would see him every week and he would hit me up for conversations because he knew that's what I did for my job was video. And kind of asked, hey, would you be interested in coming on to this project I'm working on? And, I'm writing this feature low budget horror movie. I would love to have you on. And so I was a little bit like, this is a cool idea, but I hear people talk like this a lot, especially grew up in film, when I went to film school, a lot of people sort of during that time and shortly after would have a lot of this, they'd communicate like this about these ideas that they had. And I always just thought, if you're actually going to do it, then I'm interested. So they were, all of a sudden they were gearing up to go shoot. They're like, we're going to go out for 3 weeks and film in like the, national rainforest. And they did it. And I heard about it a couple weeks before it was going to happen. I was like, oh, like this movie is actually being filmed. Like that's crazy. I just didn't expect, all the hype going into it didn't seem real. So I had actually been the one who had recommended a friend to go be to essentially go be the cinematographer. And so this group, it's super, like I said, no budget. They shot it on a phone. And it was, I think, a total of 4 actors, including the director who I was talking about earlier. He cast himself as one of the characters, and then they had one guy out there for sound who was related to the main guy, and then the friend I recommended. So yeah, there was a total of like 6 people that were out there making this happen, which is cool. So they come back and we have a meeting because I had expressed interest in helping out. They film it. Oh, and like I wasn't going to go out there for 3 weeks. I was like, no, I have a job. I'm not going to take time off and not get paid or whatever to like go shoot this thing and like be out like camping for 3 weeks. So they come back and they're like, we have all this footage. We need to edit it. And they, if I remember correctly, they decided they were going to release the film. Like they came up with like a date. And the guy that I had connected to the project, who was the cinematographer, he was going to be the lead editor and I was going to be the assistant editor. And that guy set all the timelines. He said, we can have this feature done in 1 month. And I'm like, that's crazy. You're going to edit a movie in a month and we should do the premiere on this and this date. And they had all that planned out. And I'm like, okay, like I wasn't there with you guys filming. Like I'll help as much as I can. I'll help, I'll edit for a couple hours on the weekend kind of a thing. Like, cool, let's make this cool video happen. So we start a editing timeline, and I'm waiting a couple weeks and I don't hear from the guy who's editing, and I'm waiting to like, hey, send me the footage and like let me know what I can do to help. And essentially that guy completely flaked out to the point, and I remember I went out of town when the premiere for this movie was going to happen. And I come back and I hear the story, like the guy who was going to edit the video didn't finish the movie. They had this premiere, invited people to come, rented out the space, nothing, no movie. I couldn't believe it. I was like, yeah. So the shortest version of this story is that shortly after that time, the guy, the main editor, got, cut from the project, which makes sense. And it kind of landed on me because I basically had said, hey, if he's out, let me just finish it for y'all. So I inherit the project and realize like, oh, nothing is really done. The only things that are done are the scenes that I've already edited. So I basically edited the entire movie. We did multiple revisions, and it was just a painful process, as the guy who was the director that I was working with didn't really know a whole lot about video file sizes, file storage. He lost years after, he lost the footage multiple times, like final versions of the edit he would lose, and he'd have to come back to me and be like, hey, my hard drive was stolen, or hey, this happened, I don't have the footage anymore. And I'm like, so you're telling me this is your movie and I'm the only one that has the footage? So it's stories like that make me just go, I don't want to work with y'all. I don't want to work with people because it's just too much. There's ego in there, not to mention the personalities of people involved in that are very toxic, very self-driven, ego-driven. I am just not interested in that. Now, obviously, I think in the future, I need to have better discernment about those types of situations. But especially when you're young, it's easy to just be like, man, here's a cool idea, fun project, let me jump on real quick. And, maybe if I look at it on the bright side, it's like, what's the worst thing that happened? Is I learned a lot, I wasted my time. Is there really anything bad that came from it? But there's just pitfalls and challenges that I've had with collaboration. And I think when you mix that with personality, because I do think personality plays a lot into this, as an introvert, I am just someone who really enjoys the quietness of creativity. I do obviously appreciate working with other people in those moments when you're in community and you make something amazing. Like, that is the best. But my personality sort of drives me towards a more quiet version with myself, quieter version of creativity. And I'm not really sure how bad that is. Like, if I continue down that path, does that lead to a really lonely life? A really lonely creative life? I'm not totally sure. I'm kind of just processing through this, and I don't know necessarily where this goes. So that's kind of why I'm making this video. In my current job, I've noticed lately, especially I've noticed it, that the times that I'm most happy in my role is when I'm able to just sit in my office and get things done. I love getting things checked off my list, like getting a project fully across the finish line. That feeling is amazing. And when it comes to collaboration, obviously, if there are people that I need to work with, people that I need to check with to get something done, that, holds me back from just being able to sit in my office and get stuff done, because I got to email this person, go talk to this person, have a conversation, wait for this meeting, sit down with this person, collaborate, come up with solutions, all of that. Very important stuff. But I've noticed in my own self that the satisfaction that I get in my work happens most often when I am just getting stuff done by myself. And that's an interesting way to be. That's an interesting way for my work to sort of take place. Certainly there are things that don't need others to support it and make it happen. And there are things that definitely need collaboration and community within my job. So I just struggle with that knowledge, knowing, okay, I've had pitfalls and bad experiences with creative collaboration. I know I'm an introvert and I really enjoy the quietness of creativity more than the community aspect. And I know in my current role, for whatever reason, the satisfaction that I get in my job is when I'm working alone. I think the reasons why I instinctually know to sort of question that and just go, is that okay? Is there improvement? Is there a growth opportunity here? It's because I know that everything in society, I shouldn't use the word everything, but it seems like everything in society is already trying to isolate us and separate us. And I don't want to be either adding to that or accepting areas of my life where I need to push against that. I think that is really important for us as creatives, is to recognize there are aspects of society that just are, want to isolate us further. They want to separate us. They want us to be in our own little worlds, not communicating with one another, not collaborating with one another. So the great thing about creativity is creating within community is so vital. It's so important for us as people to be getting out and to be in collaborative environments, to be in a creative environment with others. And it's necessary to create with others. Like, the value goes way up when you go from creating with just yourself to someone else. You go from creating with a small group to a large group. Like, the ability of what we're able to create goes up. The value of what we produce becomes greater. And so I'm fully aware that community is so important to creating, telling stories, practicing our hobbies, using our unique God-given gifts, all these things. But it's not easy, for all the reasons that I mentioned before. So anyways, I needed to get this out because this is something I'm wrestling with. I would love to know where this lands with you, how this impacts your story, where you're at currently. This is just kind of where I am at on my journey. But yeah, let me know in the comments how this lands with you. Are you someone who doesn't mind collaborating? Collaborating is necessary for you. It's something you seek and crave. Or are you finding yourself to be a bit more isolated in your creativity? Are you happy with that? Are you okay with that? Are you seeing the potential challenges? I'd love to know. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. My name is Tristan, and I am passionate about helping creatives grow in their unique God-given gifts and discover their creativity. Stay creative.